What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to our Carolina Panthers franchise rebuild. We're coming off our first Super Bowl in franchise history, defeating the Kansas City Chiefs 42-40, and we're going to get the offseason started. With the offseason underway, let's take a look at the recap here for the season. NFL MVP goes to Patrick Mahomes. Coach of the Year, Doug Peterson of the Jaguars. Lamar Jackson, Offensive Player of the Year. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Rookie of the Year is the Bucs quarterback Nick Fletcher. And Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to Chargers Juwan Newman. Bryce Young, of course, is our Super Bowl MVP. Let's take a look at some retirements around the league. Big names: Harrison Smith retires after 14 years. Derrick Henry has retired. DeAndre Hopkins has called it quits. Fletcher Cox has retired. Stephon Gilmore, going out with the Super Bowl victory, has retired. David Bakhtiari's retired. Taylor Lewan, Garrett Bowles, and Jake Matthews from our rival Atlanta Falcons have retired. Zach Martin, Ryan Jensen, a lot of really good offensive linemen. Byron Jones, Tyron Smith, Sterling Shepard, Micah Hyde. Russell Wilson has called it quits. Veteran linebacker Eric Kendricks. Former Panther Austin Ritter has retired. Juwan James has retired. Denzel Perryman. Cornerback Kyle Fuller. Daquan Jones. Cooper Rush. Andy Dalton has retired. Robert Woods. Robert Quinn. Justin Houston. A lot of big names here. Case Keenum and Eric Fisher. All right, and it is staff week. Let's take a look and see what's happened around the league. The Bears have fired all of their coaching staff. Brent Perkins is now a free agent coach, along with their OC and DC. The Bills have fired their offensive coordinator. The Browns have fired their coaching staff. Patriots have fired Peter Gaffney. Dan Campbell is no longer the head coach of the Lions. Ron Rivera has been fired as offensive coordinator in Atlanta. Mike Vrabel, no longer offensive coordinator in Dallas. And the Browns and Bears have both hired new head coaches, Ron Starling and Bob Bates. Bob Bates was the offensive coordinator for the Raiders, who was fired this season. And Starling was the offensive coordinator for the Packers. So they've got new head coaching jobs. And mock draft 3 is available. Let's take a quick peek here. They've got the Colts taking Josh Valdez, number 1 overall, a right tackle, with a left tackle going number 2. Interesting. And for our Carolina Panthers, they have us selecting Kevin Goodridge, left guard out of TCU. Not gonna lie, I am looking for a good left guard. And it is time to re-sign players. We've got $102 million in cap, and we've got the 5th year option for Bryce Young. We are going to accept that option. This is where it's tricky. What do we do with Dante Jackson? He was pretty good to end the year last year. He had some bad games. The Super Bowl wasn't very good for anybody on the defense. I think we are going to withdraw this offer for Dante Jackson and see what's available in free agency. Next up, we've got veteran Von Bell. I've really liked Von Bell. He is interested in coming back. However, we've got Jamie Robinson that can take over for him, and it'd be Chris Bartell and Robinson as our safety. So we're going to let Von Bell test free agency. Next up, kick returner KJ Hamler. He wants nearly $6 million per year. We're going to see if he'll take this 3-year $5 million offer, so this will be $15 million over 3 years, and he's going to test free agency. That is okay. Next up, we've got another tough decision here with Yetur Gross-Matos, who was huge for us in the playoffs. I believe he's probably earned himself another deal with us. He had that block kick against the Giants, so we're going to offer him this 2-year deal. Let's see if he'll return. And he will. Yetur Gross-Matos will be along our defensive line one more time. Next up, we've got Hayden Hurst, who unfortunately at his age has started to regress. He's had a couple of really good years here in Carolina. Let's see if he'll accept this 2-year, $10 million offer. And he will, so Hayden Hurst will be back for another 2 years. He'll be filling out much more of a backup role for us. We're going to let Rejan White test free agency. Same thing with Matt Corral. We will look at bringing Austin Jackson back. Let's see if he'll take this 1-year, $4 million offer. And he's going to test free agency. We're going to let Brendan Smith test free agency. We're going to let Jason Anderson test as well. And we're going to let Stanley Thomas Oliver test. Amari Barno. We'll see if he'll take this 2-year deal. And Barno is coming back to anchor our special teams. Greg Ainsworth was a pretty good undrafted tight end that we found. Made some key plays here and there. We're going to see if he'll take this 1-year deal. And Greg Ainsworth will be back. Spencer Spikes, we're going to offer him this 1-year, $1 million deal. And he'd like to play for a new team next year. Next up, we've got Shy Tuttle. We're going to let him test. Backup center, Bradley Bozeman. Let's see if he'll accept this 1-year, $3 million deal. And he will, so we have him anchoring our backup center position, just in case Abdul Hazelton runs into a little bit more injury risk. We're going to let Michael Jordan test free agency. Andrew Norwell, the veteran left guard. We're going to see if he'll take this 1-year deal. At worst, if we can't find a good left guard in the draft or in free agency, Norwell will be okay. And he is not interested in signing. Next up, Shelby Harris that we brought in for veteran depth. We're going to let him test. John Lovett, the fullback. We're going to see if he'll take this 1-year deal. And he is back, John Lovett. And then last but not least, we got veteran punter Johnny Hecker. Let's see if he'll take this 1-year deal to come back to Carolina. And he will. So we've got Hecker on punt duty. Welcome back. And we got a media question here from Jonathan Coachman. He says, Hayden Hurst is in the final year of his contract and has turned down your contract offers to this point. So how far apart do you think both sides are right now? I'm pretty sure we re-signed Hayden Hurst. So I'm going to say, well, I'd like to think we're not too far apart. So while we haven't found common ground yet, we'll continue to negotiate and get there. And it is finally time for free agent week. Let's take a look as we've got $77 million in cap. Ooh, couple big names here. Jalen Ramsey at the top of the list. Ronnie Staley as well. Couple of spots we could look at to improve is at quarterback. We could use a good veteran backup. We definitely need to look at left guard for an upgrade. Could also use a backup right tackle. Definitely going to need to rebuild our cornerback room. Safeties are good there. And for quarterback, we're going to offer to Bailey Zappi. He's got good accuracies, not the strongest arm, but he looks like he should be okay in occasional backup appearances. We're going to make this offer here for 3 years, $5.2 million. And then for veteran depth at left guard, we're going to offer here to Andres Pete. And for depth at corner here, we're going to try to bring in Bryce Hall. Let's go ahead and eval those offers. And all 3 have accepted. We've got Bryce Hall coming to play, Andres Pete to back up, and Zappy to back up. Excellent. I know he's not totally interested, but I would like to bring back KJ Hamler for kick return and backup wide receiver roles. Let's see if he'll accept our offer. And KJ Hamler does accept our 3-year offer here to come back to handle kick return duty. That is awesome. And mock draft 4 is out. They've still got Josh Valdez going number 1 with Trenton Garrison at number 2. And now they're showing Justin Wilcox as our pick here at 32. He's a round 3 to 4 projection, but he's got round 1 to 2 talent. And for more backup right tackle depth, we're going to offer this deal here to Morgan Moses. And Morgan Moses will be coming to North Carolina to back up Tyler Moton at right tackle. Mock draft 5 is out and not much has changed. It's still got Valdez and Garrison at the top, and it's still got Wilcox down here at 32 for us. I'm not going to lie, I do like Wilcox. What does kind of suck is that we don't have a second round pick. If I had a second round pick, I think it'd be great. I don't know if I want to take him so high as like the first round. All right, and let's recap free agency. Jalen Ramsey, he's headed to Pittsburgh. Ronnie Staley is headed to Atlanta, so we'll get to see him a couple times this year. Jalen Phillips headed to Arizona. Tyler Lockett to LA. Delvin Cook going over to Green Bay. Corey Linsley headed up to Minnesota. Tyrann Mathieu going to the Saints. DeMarcus Lawrence going to Arizona. Dante Jackson headed up to Detroit. Tyler Algier going to Arizona. They've picked up a couple guys this year, huh? Arizona could be on the rise. Grady Jarrett over to Tampa. Connor Williams to Arizona. Alvin Kamara is headed to Tennessee. So the Saints will have a new running back this year. Kenny Moore to LA. And we are here at the NFL draft. The Colts are on the clock with the number 1 pick. And the Colts do select Josh Valdez, the right tackle out of Ohio State, number 1 overall. Now Chicago is on the clock. The Bears go Trenton Garrison out of Michigan. The Lions select Eric Jones at number 3, outside linebacker from Clemson. Denver, Marco Hickman, another right outside linebacker from Auburn. The Cardinals, who were busy in free agency, select Zaire Langham, left end out of Penn State. Buffalo at number 6 takes Deontay Traynor, right end out of UCLA. At number 7, the Saints, Vernon Randall, strong safety out of Clemson. Looking forward to playing him this year. Next up, our first quarterback, J.P. Williams. He's a quarterback from Clemson for the Patriots. Tampa Bay takes Brian Golson, outside linebacker from LSU. The Dolphins also go defense. They go Michael Mitchell, defensive tackle from Clemson. The Chargers, Jason Givens, left end from Stanford. Garrison Brooks goes to Seattle. He's a guard out of Georgia. Next up, San Francisco, Jamal McKenzie, right tackle from Michigan. Darius Luck, headed to Tennessee. Melvin Hood, wide receiver from Arizona State, is going up to Minnesota. Cleveland taking Steve Avant, middle linebacker out of Georgia. Washington goes James McCoy, cornerback out of Ole Miss. The Raiders go Christian Nicholson. He's a right end from Michigan State. The Jets select Jaden Beasley. He's a left tackle out of Washington. Our rival Falcons take Mitch June, cornerback from Pittsburgh. Jonathan Henry, a center from Miami, is headed to LA. Green Bay selects Cardale Wooden, outside linebacker from Washington State. Pittsburgh selects LaMichael Mack, corner out of Ole Miss. That's 2 Ole Miss guys going here in the first round. Kevin Goodrich from TCU is headed to Houston, not traveling very far. Dallas selects Darryl Widmore, a right end out of Alabama. The Eagles take Keenan Cook, corner from South Carolina. Nathan Wheeler is headed to Cincinnati. Marquez Johnson, a running back from Georgia, headed to Jacksonville. Matt Townsend, a strong safety from Oklahoma, is headed up to New York. And Baltimore selects Malik Stringer, defensive tackle from Oklahoma State. And Kansas City takes Stephon Mann, wide receiver from Pittsburgh, and it is our pick. And here we are at number 32, taking a look at Justin Wilcox. He's the guy that the last 2 mock drafts had us picking. He's a pass protector archetype, 23 years old, out of Clemson. Graded out pretty well during his pro day. Bench press could be a little bit better. 32 is definitely nothing to sneeze at though. I just don't know with his run ability if he's worth the 32nd pick. Plus he has F injury, which isn't good, especially if I want him starting. Everything else grades out really well. He's a pass blocker though. He's not a run blocker. Another guy I like here at number 32 is Jacoby Garvin. He's a 21-year-old man-to-man corner out of Washington. Aggressive ball hawk, has the motor, looks to rip the ball, good discipline. He's the fastest corner, he's the strongest corner, good acceleration. Jumping could be a little bit better, that's not great. But from what it looks like, he's got better skills and is more likely to be, the better pick here at 32. I don't necessarily need the corner. We have Flowers, we have Horn, and we have Hall that we picked up in free agency. B block shedding is really good. A hit power is good. He's not as injury prone with an A to B grade there. B man coverage, play rec needs some work. C press isn't great, but he's also got B zone coverage. Like right now, I feel like he is the better overall pick at number 32. And we have taken Jacoby Garvin at number 32, the corner. He's got 95 speed, which is good, 91 acceleration, 95 change of direction. At worst, he's going to return kicks. We'll see how everything else grades out. He could be a starting slot over Flowers, or he could be battling Flowers for the slot position. And that does it for the first round. We move into the second round where the Colts select Freddie Hayward, free safety out of Alabama. And we don't pick again until the end of the third. And we have a trade to announce. We are moving up to number 56. We are sending a 2nd round pick next year, a 3rd round pick next year, and a 5th round pick this year to Houston. And with this selection, we will be taking Justin Wilcox. He was projected to go in the 3rd and 4th round, but he has round 1 to 2 talent. I don't want to miss out on him. At worst, he's not a very good run blocker. We can make that better, but I do want a good young left guard that we can build around in the future. And we have a hidden development left guard, a 23-year-old out of Clemson. Excellent. And here we are on the clock in round 3. And for our 3rd round pick, we're going to be selecting left outside linebacker Brian Johnson out of New Hampshire. I didn't have a lot of knowledge on a lot of guys here, but what I know about Johnson seems to be okay for a backup spot and possibly a special teams contributor. He's got good pursuit, decent tackler, good stamina. We'll see how it all works out. And he is a normal development linebacker. 85 speed is not too bad. And here in the 6th round, we are going to take a look at Christian Orchard. He's a 6-foot zone corner from Rutgers. Not too bad here. Good catching, good press. He's a zone corner. He's a good tackler, is a little bit injury prone, runs a 4.44, which isn't terrible. Let's bring him in. And we have selected Christian Orchard in the 6th round. Seems to be an overall okay corner, nothing too spectacular. And for Mr. Irrelevant, we're going to take the biggest dropper. He was projected to go in the 2nd and 3rd round at wide receiver. It's Morgan Boley. He's a physical wide receiver out of Ole Miss. At worst, he doesn't make the roster. Not exceptionally fast with a 4.49, but overall pretty strong, pretty physical wide receiver. Is okay at catching traffic, can't run medium. Short needs some work. Deep probably needs a lot of work. He has good release. We don't know too much about him, but can't hurt to bring him in as Mr. Irrelevant. And he is a normal development wide receiver. 89 speed, not too bad. 88 acceleration is good. Probably somebody on the practice squad for us. All right, and here's a look at our draft class, all 5 players. In the 1st round, we took Jacoby Garvin. He turns out to be a 74 overall corner. Not that bad. Really good speed. Then we traded up for Justin Wilcox, who is a 73 hidden development left guard. Then we went defensive one more time here with outside linebacker Brian Johnson. Turns out to be a 69 overall with decent speed at linebacker. And then we went for Christian Orchard out of Rutgers. He's a 67 overall corner. And then we finished it off with Mr. Irrelevant Morgan Boley, wide receiver out of Ole Miss, who fell. Let's take a look at Atlanta. Let's see what our rivals did. In the 1st round, they picked up Mitch June, corner out of Pittsburgh. He's a good one, 78 overall. Looks like they also hit here in the 7th round on John Rose, running back out of Kentucky. Tampa Bay had a bunch of picks. They picked number 9 first. They went Brian Golson, outside linebacker out of LSU. He's a 73 overall. And then in the 2nd round, they picked up Doug Bronson. He's a 70 overall defensive tackle out of LSU. A lot of players here, but nothing really stands out for Tampa Bay. And then the Saints, who looked like they had a pretty good draft here. At number 7, they went Vernon Randall, a 74 overall strong safety. They stayed on the defensive side, went Devin Morrison in the 2nd round, a 75 overall. And then they went offensive with Chester Lawson. He's a 75 overall. They did take a quarterback in the 4th round, Dominique Hunt, 65 overall quarterback from Montana. Then Sidney Reed, a corner out of Texas, is a 72 overall. Very good. And then they took a running back in the 6th and a corner in the 7th with Troy Sutton. Best player in the draft was number 1 overall pick Josh Valdez. Turns out he was an 82 overall. And then we had a couple here at 87, all corners. Wow. Here's an interesting one, a 73 overall wide receiver, Kendrick Hicks, taken in the 7th round by the Texans. All right, and that's going to finish up the draft here. In our next video, we're going to get the preseason and year 4 underway as we look to defend our Super Bowl title. So I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.